What's up, guys? Buenas noches. Es jueves del 2019, el mes de diciembre. Salud a todos. Espero que estén en buena salud. Hope everybody is well. And cheers. Cheers. Clashing the bottles. Wait, no, otro trago. Wait up. Ugh. Okay, so today is gonna be la tercera parte del audiobook otra vez. You know, you guys are catching on. 100 años de soledad, 100 Years of Solitude. Igual by the author Gabriel García Márquez. Podcast slash audiobook, de lo que caiga. I got stuck on page 32. So let's kind of review what we read. The thing they're talking about Ursula and her children, and I don't know. I just want to keep reading for now. I did get some reading glasses, so that's pretty cool. Cause you know how sometimes your natural vision, it's, I guess, normal, and you're able to see everything on the book. Well, these are like the dollar glasses for reading, so I mean they really help you focus on the word, and kind of like they limit your vision. You know what I'm saying? That's I have 20/20 vision, but using these, I'm not forcing my vision as much as trying to look for the word. It does make the words bigger, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm go grab some chela and some what else? Some snacks, whatever. Una manzana, I guess balance out the chela with the beer, the chela with the beer, the apple with the beer, and we're gonna read a couple of pages today. Same. I'm trying to come up with some content. We're gonna stop on page 41, página 41 de 100 años de soledad. Ahí comienza otro capítulo, otra historia. Y después, no sé, lo que caiga de la vida. So, pongan atención, muchachos. Pónganse a leer algo. No, just kidding. But my Spanish teacher used to always call us muchachos. Ándale, muchachos. So, en 20 a 30 segundos voy a tomarme un break ahorita y regresaré para continuar en la página 32. Y ya, ahorita vengo. Ok, muchachos, ¿ya están listos? A ver. Hay que poner una luz para enfocarnos en lo que vamos a leer. Hay que apagar las luces, nada de lo normal. Pondré música clásica en mi background para que igual me calme de mis nervios, y aún estoy buscando por mi pluma. Creo que ya la perdí. Sorry guys, otros 30 segundos y ahorita regreso. Okay, we're back. Deja, pongo la música clásica, preferencia, preferably, preferencia. Voy a poner siempre pongo un Luciano, la leyenda. So, vamos a YouTube. Vamos a YouTube, le pondríamos, pongan, o yo voy a poner Luciano Pavarotti y sería la canción E il sol del anima live. Wow. No la live, pero ese, no, canción. Oh, perdón. Ajá, sí, y eso sería en el background. Ok. Hay que poner todo al lado para que no nos vayamos a confundir y hacer otras cosas como arte o hay que tratarnos de enfocar de hacer este libro ya. Ok, muchachos, página 32, 100 Years of Solitude, 100 años de soledad, Gabriel García Márquez. Empezaremos. Her name was Pilar Ternera. She had been part of the exodus that ended with the founding of Mocondo. Dragged along by her family in order to separate her from the man who had raped her at 14 and had continued to love her until she was 22, but who never made up his mind to make the situation public because he was a man apart. He promised to follow her to the ends of the earth, but only later on, when he put his affairs in order, and she had become tired of waiting for him, always identifying him with the tall and short, blonde and brunette men that her cards promised from land and sea within 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years. With her waiting, she had lost the strength of her thighs, the firmness of her breasts, her habit of tenderness, but she kept the madness of her heart intact. Whoa. Maddened by the prodigious plaything, Jose Cardio followed her path every night through the labyrinth of her room. On a certain, excuse me, I'm fucking getting buzzed already. Cheers. Okay. On a certain occasion, he found the door barred, and he knocked several times, knowing that if he had the boldest to knock the first time, he would have to knock until the last. And after an interminable way, she opened the door for him. During the day, leaving down to dream, he would secretly enjoy the memories of the night before. But when she came out into the house, merry, indifferent, chatty, he did not have to make any effort to hide his tension, because that woman, whose explosive laugh frightened off the doves, had nothing to do with an invisible power that taught him how to breathe from within and control his heartbeats, and that had permitted him to understand why men are afraid of death. He was so wrapped up in himself that he did not even understand the joy of everyone. Excuse me, guys. Ay, Luciano, tienes que cagar, güey. He was so wrapped up in himself that he did not even understand the joy of everyone when his father. Excuse me, let me lower this. When his father and his brother aroused the household with the news that they had succeeded in penetrating the metallic debris and had separated Ursula's gold. They had succeeded, as a matter of fact, after putting in complicated and persevering days at it. Ursula was happy. and she even gave thanks to God for the invention of alchemy, while the people of the village rushed into the laboratory, and they served them guava jelly. That sounds like guayaba jelly. Mani de guayaba, no sé. No, that's peanut butter. And they served them guava jelly on crackers to celebrate the wonder. And Jose Acardio Buendia led them to see the crucible with the recovered gold, as if he had just invented it, showing it all around. He ended up in front of his older son, who during the past few days had barely put in the put in an appearance in the laboratory. He put the dry and yellowish mass in front of his eyes and asked him, "What does it look like to you?" Jose Cardio answered sincerely, "Dog shit." His father gave him a blow with the back of his hand that brought out blood and tears. That night, Pilar Ternera put arnica compress on the swelling, feeling about for the bottle and con in the dark, and she did everything she wanted with him as long as it did not bother him, making an effort to love him without hurting him. They reached such a state of intimacy that later, without realizing it, they were whispering to each other. Should I whisper this shit or what? Excuse me. "I want to be alone with you." Ooh, he said. "One of these days, I'm going to tell everybody, and we can stop all of this sneaking around." She did not try to calm him down. "That would be fine," she said. "If we're alone, we'll leave the lamp lit so that we can see each other, and I can holler as much as I want without anybody's having to butt in, and you can whisper in my ear any crap you can think of." Wow, that sounds cool. That conversation, the biting rancor that he felt against his father, and the imminent possibility of wild love inspired a serene courage in him. In a spontaneous way, without any preparation, he told everything to his brother. At first, young Aureliano understood only the risk, the immense possibility of danger that his brother's adventures implied, and he could not understand the fascination of the object. Little by little, he became contaminated by the anxiety. He wondered about the details of the dangers. He identified himself with the suffering and enjoyment of his brother. He felt frightened and happy. He would stay awake waiting for him until dawn in the solitary bed that seemed to have a bottom of live coals. Excuse me, coals. And they would keep on talking until it was time to get up, so that both of them soon suffered from the same drowsiness, felt the same lack of interest in alchemy. Alchemy, I have to learn how to say that word again. And the wisdom of their father, and they took refuge in solitude. "Those kids are out of their heads," Ursula said. "They must have worms." She prepared a repugnant potion for them made out of smashed worm seed, which they both drank with unforeseen stoicism. And they sat down at the same time on their pots 11 times in a single day, expelling some rose-colored parasites, and they showed to everybody with great jubilation, for it allowed them to deceive Ursula as to the origin of their distractions and drowsiness. Aureliano not only understood by then, he also lived his brother's experiences as something of his own. For on one occasion, when the latter was explaining in great detail the mechanism of love, he interrupted him to ask, "What does it feel like?" Jose Cardio gave him an immediate reply. "It's like an earthquake." On January Thursday at 2 o'clock in the morning, Amaranta was born. Before anyone came in the room, Ursula examined her carefully. She was light and watery, like a newt, but all of her parts were human. Aureliano did not notice the new thing except when the house became full of people. Protected by the confusion, he went off in search of his brother, who had not been in bed since 11 o'clock, and it has such an impulsive decision that he did not even have the time to ask himself how could he how he could get him out of a pillar Ternera's bedroom. He circled the house for several hours, whistling private calls until the proximity of dawn forced him to go home. In his mother's room, playing with the newborn little sister and with a face that drooped with innocence, he found Jose Cardio. I guess he was playing with the baby. Ursula was barely over her 40 days rest when the gypsies returned. They were the same acrobats and jugglers that had brought the ice. Unlike Melquiades' tribe, they had shown very quickly that they were not heralds of progress but purveyors of amusement. Even when they brought the ice, they did not advertise it for its usefulness in the life of a man, but as a simple circus curiosity. This time, along with many other artifices, Jesus Christ. They brought a flying carpet, but they did not offer it as a fundamental contribution to the development of transport, rather as an object of recreation. The people at once dug up their last gold pieces to take advantage of a quick flight over the house of the village, protected by the delightful cover of collective disorder. Jose Cardio and Pilar passed many relaxing hours. There were two happy lovers among the crowd, and they even came to suspect that the love could be a feeling that was more relaxing and deep than the happiness, while but momentary, momentary, momentary of their secret nights. Pilar, however, broke the spell. Stimulated by the enthusiasm that Jose Cardio showed in her companionship, she confused the form and the occasion, and all of a sudden she threw the whole world on top of him. Now you really are a man, she told him. And since he did not understand what she meant, she spelled it out to him. You're going to be a father. Jose Cardio did not dare leave the house for several days. It was enough for him to hear the rocking laughter of Pilar in the kitchen to run and take refuge in the laboratory, where the artifacts of alchemy had come alive again in Ursula's blessing. Jose Cardio Buendia received his errant son with joy and initiated him with the search for the philosopher's stone, which he had finally undertaken. One afternoon, the boys grew enthusiastic over the flying carpet that went swiftly by the laboratory at window level, carrying the gypsy who was driving it and several children from the village who were merely waving their hands. But Jose Cardio Buendia did not even look at it. Let them dream, he said. We'll do better flying than they are doing, and with more scientific resources than a miserable bedspread. In spite of his feigned interest, Jose Cardio never understood the powers of the philosopher's egg, which to him looked like a poorly brown bottle. Looked like a poorly blown bottle. Making up shit again. Excuse me, guys. Cheers. Kind of thirsty. He lost his appetite and he could not sleep. He fell into an ill humor the same as his father's over the failure of his undertakings, and such was his upset that Jose Cardio Buendia himself relieved him of his duties in the laboratory, thinking that he had taken alchemy too much to heart. Aureliano, of course, understood that his brother's affliction did not have its source in the search of the philosopher's stone, but he could not get into his confidence. He had lost his former spontaneity. Spontaneity? That sounds cool. Excuse me. From an accomplice and a communicative person, he had become withdrawn and hostile, anxious for solitude, bitten by a virulent rancor against the world. One night he left his bed as usual, but he did not go to Pilar Ternera's house, but to mingle in the tumult of the fair. After wandering about among all kinds of contraptions without becoming interested in any of them, he spotted something that was not a part of it. That was not part of it. A very young gypsy girl, almost a child, who was weighted down by beads, and was the most beautiful woman that Jose Cardio had ever seen in his life. She was the crowd that was witnessing the sad spectacle of the man who had been turned into a snake for having disobeyed his parents. Well, Jose Cardio paid no attention. While the sad interrogation of the snake man was taking place, he made his way through the crowd up to the first row, where the gypsy girl was, and he stopped behind her. Well, he pressed against her back. The girl tried to separate herself, but Jose Acardio pressed more strongly against her back. Then she felt him. She remained motionless against him, trembling with surprise and fear, unable to believe the evidence, and finally she turned her head and looked at him with a tremulous smile. At that instant, two gypsies put the snake man into his cage, carried him into the tent. The gypsy who was conducting the show announced, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to show the terrible test of a woman who must have her head chopped off every night at this time for 150 years as punishment for having seen what she should not have." Jose Carden and the gypsy girl did not witness the decapitation. They went to their tent, where they kissed each other with a desperate anxiety while they took off their clothes. Damn. Let me reread that again. That sounds too dope. They went to their tent, where they kissed each other with a desperate anxiety while they took off their clothes. The gypsy girl removed the starch lace corsets she had on, and there she was, changed into practically nothing. She was a languid little frog with incipient breasts and legs so thin that they did not even match the size of Jose Acardio's arms. But she had a decision and a warmth that compensated for her fragility. Nevertheless, Jose Acardio could not respond to her because they were in a kind of public tent where the gypsies passed through with their circus things and did their business, and would even tarry by the bed for a game of dice. The lamp hanging from the central pole lightened the whole place up. During a pause in the curses, Jose Cardio stretched out naked for the bed without knowing what to do, while the girl tried to inspire him. A gypsy woman with splendid flesh came in. A gypsy woman with splendid flesh came in a short time after, acompañado by a man who was not of the caravan, but who was not from the village either. And they both began to undress in front of the bed without meaning to. The woman looked at Jose Cardio and examined his magnificent animal in response with a kind of pathetic fervor. "My boy," she exclaimed, "may God preserve you just as you are." Jose Cardio's companion asked them to leave them alone, and the couple lay down on the ground, close to the bed. The passion of the others woke up Jose Cardio's fervor. I gotta search what that word means. On the first contact, the bones of the girl seemed to become disjointed with a disorderly crunch, like the sound of a box of dominoes. And her skin broke out into a pale sweat, and her eyes filled with tears as her whole body exhaled a lugubrious lament and a vague smell of mud. But she bore the impact of a firmness of character and a bravery that were admirable. Jose Acardio felt himself lifted up into the air towards a state of seraphic inspiration, where his heart burst forth where his heart burst forth with an outpouring of tender obscenities. There you go. that entered the girl through her eyes. Excuse me, that entered the girl through her ears and came out of her mouth, translated into her language. It was Thursday. On Saturday night, Jose Cardio wrapped a red cloth around his head and left with the gypsies. When Ursula discovered his absence, she searched for him all through the village. In the remains of the gypsy camp, there was nothing but a garbage pit among the still smoking ashes of the extinguished campfires. Someone who was there looking for beads among the trash told Ursula that the night before he had seen her son in the tumult of the caravan pushing the snake man's cage on a cart. He's becoming a gypsy, she shouted to her husband, who had not shown the slightest sign of alarm over the disappearance. Cheers, guys. Let me go get a zip. Okay, we're on page 38. Is it second paragraph, I think? So let's keep going. I hope it's true, Jose Ricardo Buendia said, grinding in his mortar. The material that had been ground 1,000 times and reheated the ground again. That that will he'll learn. That way he will learn to be a man. Ursula asked where the gypsies had gone. She went along asking the following the road she had been shown, thinking that she still had time to catch up to them. She kept getting farther away from the village until she felt so far away that she did not think about returning. Jose Ricardo Buendia did not discover that his wife was missing until 8 o'clock at night. When he left the material warming in the bed of manure that went to see what was wrong with little Amaranta, who was getting hoarse from crying. Oh, excuse me. In a few hours, he gathered a group of well-equipped men, put Amaranta in the hands of a woman who offered to nurse her, and was lost in invisible paths in pursuit of Ursula. Aureliano went with them. Some Indian fishermen whose language they could not understand told them with signs that they had not seen anyone pass. After 3 days of useless searching, they returned to the village. Page 39, first paragraph. For several weeks, Jose Cardo Buendia let himself be overcome by consternation. He took care of little Amaranta like a mother. He bathed and dressed her, took her to be nursed 4 times a day, and even sang to her at night the songs that Ursula never knew how to sing. On a certain occasion, Pilar Ternera volunteered to do the household chores until Ursula came back. Aureliano, whose mysterious intuition had become sharpened with the misfortune, felt a glow of clairvoyance, yeah, when he saw her come in. And he knew that in some inexplicable way she was to blame for his brother's flight and the consequent disappearance of his mother. And he harassed her with a silent and impeccable hostility in such a way that the woman did not return to the house. Time put things in their place. Jose Ricardo Buendia and his sons did not know exactly when they returned to the laboratory, dusting things, lightening the water pipe, involved once more in the patient manipulation of the material that had been sleeping for several months in its bed of manure. Even Amaranta, lying in the wicker basket, observed with curiosity the observing work of her father and her brother in the small room where the air was rarefied by mercury vapors. On a certain occasion, months after Ursula's departure, strange things began to happen. An empty flask that had been forgotten in a cupboard for a long time became so heavy that it could not be moved. A pan of water on the workable boiled without any fire under it for a half hour until it completely evaporated. Jose Ricardo Buendia and his son observed those phenomena with startled excitement, unable to explain them but interpreting them as predictions of the material. One day Amaranta's basket began to move by itself and made a complete turn about the room. to the consternation of Aureliano, who hurried to stop it. But his father did not get upset. He put the basket in its place and tied it to the leg of a table, convinced that the long-awaited event was imminent. It was on that occasion that Aureliano heard him say, "If you don't fear God, fear him through the metals." Suddenly, almost 5 months after her disappearance, Ursula came back. She arrived exalted, rejuvenated, with a new clothes and a style that was unknown in the village. Jose Carlos Buendia could barely stand up under the impact. "That was it," he shouted. "I knew it was going to happen." And he really believed that, for during his prolonged imprisonment, as he manipulated the material, he begged in the depth of his heart that the longed-for miracle should not be the discovery of the philosopher's stone, or the freeing of the breath that makes metals live, or the faculty to convert the hinges and the locks of the house into gold. But what had just happened, Ursula returned. But she did not share his excitement. She gave him a conventional kiss, as if she had been away only an hour, and she told him, "Look out the door." Jose Carlos Buendia took a long time to get out of his perplexity when he went out into the street and saw the crowd. They were not gypsies. They were men and women like them, with straight hair and dark skin, who spoke the same language and complained of the same pains. They had mules loaded down with things to eat, ox carts with furniture and domestic utensils, pure and simple earthly accessories, but on sale without any fuss by peddlers of everyday reality. They came from the other side of the swamp, only 2 days away, where there were towns that received mail every month in the year, and where they were familiar with the implements of good living. Ursula had not caught up with the gypsies, but she had found a route that her husband had been unable to discover in his frustrated search for the great inventions. Okay, guys, we're stopping here at page 41, so save this for another day. I'm glad I didn't curse so much as I did last time. I apologize for that, but it's all good. I don't need to apologize because I am tipsy and while reading, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, man, that was a couple of pages for today. I really don't know what else to come up with, so I don't know what. Oh yeah, the Saturday. What is it? Saturday. I don't know what day is it. Shit. Let me search up what day is it. Yeah, there's gonna be a couple of events on Saturday. There's gonna be one at Long Beach. I think the university. I think there's gonna be like an art walk. I should like search it up and kind of like shout out to people who are gonna go to it, in case they're like keeping in touch of the same podcast. Yeah, soon I'm gonna make like a list of the shout outs that I owe people. I don't really owe them a shout out, but something nice for people just liking my their my art and stuff like that. But also people give out some stuff for, well, I don't know, I'm just trying to come up with something. But give people a shout out for the like art wise, people who I purchase art from, people who always mention about events and stuff like that. So I'm searching this event that's gonna happen in the one in Long Beach. So I have to go through my Instagram and search the guy's profile or the person's profile, and I could read to you what's gonna happen there this Saturday. So Jesus. I can't search them. So yeah, this is gonna be the third podcast. I forgot to give out the big intro, but you guys are catching on, so it's like whatever. um, I really don't know what to talk, but I'm listening to the Three Tenors Torna a Suriento, Los Angeles 1994. I think it was like a performance. I was like around 2 years old around the time. Cheers. And I don't know what else to say, guys. I should be more prepared next time. But yeah, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the short one. It was a good time just reading a few pages for today. So I guess I'll just drop it there before I come up with some random ideas because I really wanna start scripting like the podcast. Hopefully soon I'll get someone to record with me, and that'll be dope. So if you're just listening and just chilling, that's thanks, man. Thanks, carnal. Um, I'll keep an eye out for you guys, and I don't know, man. Just chilling, listening to classical music. So that's pretty relaxing, and hopefully I'll do another one for tomorrow as well. I'm not sure if it's gonna last longer, but it just depends. Cause I have to edit the part 3 for this section on my PC and then upload it, and it takes a while, but that could wait as I editing it. Yeah, man. So take it easy, guys. Thank you for listening. This short one. Cheers. And yeah, see you guys next time, guys. Thank you for listening. This was Mi Arte podcast number 3. Self-sponsored Arte Locura. Great. Something I believe in. Alright, guys. Take it easy. Buenas noches. Bye.